Hello there, and thanks for joining us again on Dr. Teach Me to Parent. Great program today as we look at a very important topic in parenting and in early family life, and that is putting your finances in order. Putting your life in order through putting your finances in order and looking at some of the critical issues and critical decisions you have to make as a family about the finances in your home. So we're going to take a look at that today. We have a very special guest, Mr. Arsen Marsoobian, and he is going to give us a little of his insight and his experience as a finance man and how we can, as a family, make finances a very important part of our life, a good part of our life, and a growing part of our life. But before we do that, I have a little quote for you to put in perspective, and this is probably a true story for a lot of us anyway. What is a living wage is the real question. What is a living wage? A living wage is a little more than you are now making. In other words, we always think of needing a little more, having to have a little more. I need to have another little raise. I need to have a little bit more income, and then I'll be okay. And then we get to that point, and then a living wage becomes a little more than that. And then we get to that point, and then a living wage becomes a little bit more than that. There's never a level of satisfaction or where we can say, okay, I'm satisfied now. So that's what a living wage is all about. So that puts us in that kind of perspective. But here's the book of our guest, and make sure that you have access to this book. The one is Don't Die, and the other one is A Heartbeat Away, Arsen Marsoobian. So anyway, we're going to talk a little bit, Arsen, and bring us up to date on you personally. Did you grow up in a family where finances was kind of talked about and lived out? Was your father like an insurance man? My father was. Was your father a banker? My father was. I mean, did you grow up where money and finances were just part of family life, or did you have to learn it all from scratch?
I learned it all from scratch.
You did?
My father and mother both were from Armenia, came from the old country.
Oh,
so,
sure.
So I'm first generation in America. I was born in 1934, so it was Depression time.
Mm-hmm.
My father came from New Jersey as a barber and came to California for the gold rush.
Oh, yes.
And the different things. This was the place for land and honey.
Sure.
So he got his old Model Ford and came out here, and we worked in the fields. My brother and sister were older than me, and they remember them working in the canneries.
Oh, you guys grew up the hard way.
Then the war came along.
Yeah.
And my dad got a job at Fort Ord cutting hair. Mm-hmm. And so all of that kind of stuff, and then came back to Fresno. But no, it was always a situation trying to make ends meet. And so for my dad, just like he said, how much is a living wage?
Yeah.
It was whatever he was making.
Whatever he was making had to be the living wage, even though he'd wanted more.
Right. Well, and at 12 years old, boy, you couldn't get away with this now.
Yeah.
When I was 12, my mother was cooking at a restaurant down at a bar downtown, and she was barbecuing out in the alley.
Oh, yes.
Making the food. So there was no kitchen. But so instead of babysitting, I got a job selling newspapers on the street.
Mm-hmm.
I was 12 years old.
Sure.
I'm selling Chronicle, Call Bulletin, and these papers, 10 cents. But when I made that money, whatever I made, I had to give it to mom and dad.
Went into the family pocket, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you talk about a couple things that are very important in any family. Today, 100 years back, 100 years from now, you start with a job. You start with a job, don't you?
Yeah.
So what are the components? If you're a young family out there watching, what do I need to be concerned with and say putting in order in my family life and in my finances of a family? Are there certain things that I just have to make sure that I have taken care of?
Yes. When I do part of my presentation in the life insurance business,
Okay.
and talking to families,
I want to come back to that topic because that's an important one.
we have there's four major areas that really combine in the financial world.
I see.
First, you have to have a job.
Okay.
You have to have a source of income.
Source of income. Yeah.
Then I want you to have a savings account. something in the bank, at least 5-6 months of income on in that bank. Third is the investment strategy, and it's a strategy. So whether that's in your business, whether that's 401ks or IRAs or stock market, whatever investment areas. And so you want 90% of your resources and your money in the investment portfolio.
Sure.
The next thing is life insurance. And probably the least important, and even though I'm in the life insurance business, the least important part of that is the life insurance, because that's a protection. That's the defensive side of the game.
Let me come back and pick those off for a moment.
Right.
You said you got to start with having a job. You know, our culture, our government, our system is that you can't get a job until you're of age. 18 years of age and so on. I started at 11. I think you said you started at 12. My first job was 11. I've worked ever since. Never quit working since age 11. But we don't do that today. But even kids today that are 10, 11, 14, 15, they're not 18, can still get a job. There's babysitting. There's a lot of other kind of work that can be done. Is that what you did?
Yes.
I mean, 12-year-old, what kind of work did you do?
I did that. I picked figs off my tree and sold them door to door. I worked at a rug factory cleaning rugs. I worked at a packing house.
So you couldn't do some of those today?
No.
Some of that you could do.
I was 15 years old.
That's what I mean. Our government will not allow you to do that.
I worked at a flower shop.
Yeah.
I worked as a recreation leader. Just kept getting up a little bit.
There's value in working as a young kid, isn't there?
Yes.
There's a lot of value in that.
Yes.
I thought, 11-year-old, I mean, when I make $1.
Well, but used to mow lawns.
Sure.
Now that's a thing of the thing of the past.
Yeah.
But they have to find, even if you teach your youngsters the value of earning the money, whether that's chores around the house when they're younger.
Good point.
They can do that, and they got an allowance. They get so much money, but they have to earn it. It's not just go out and buy something for them.
But there's something to the learning process of earning and then having, because then that leads to a whole array of things you do thereafter. But you can't have if you don't earn.
Right.
And that concept is sometimes missed. We just give kids something.
Yeah,
it isn't earning it; it's giving it to them. Now that's a very different idea. If mom gives, I guess the allowance is kind of one example of that, where you just give it. It's not earned; it's just given to them because they're alive, because they're a kid. So there's value in earning it first.
But one of the tragedies I say now, as I look back in my life. My dad passed away when I was 15.
Sure.
So just my mom.
Yeah.
And mom was doing the best she could to keep everything going.
Yeah, it's tough for a single mom. You're right.
6th grade education. She didn't drive a car, but didn't work doing certain things. But she would give me money for gas. Mm-hmm. So I learned that when I had money for gas or for food, I would spend it. There was money became not to save but to spend.
To spend.
Because that's the way I learned.
That's what you do with money. You spend it. You don't save it.
Yeah, and she wasn't about to give me an allowance of $5 to go do what I wanted to do.
But I think even allowance, if a parent gives a kid allowance, that allowance can still be earned.
It has to be earned.
There's chores in the house. Yes. There's homework to be done. There's grades to be achieved. Yes. I mean, there's lots of ways that you can say, okay, by achieving these things, the allowance is yours. So it's like earning it as compared to just giving it out.
Right.
That's where we have to have a start.
Let me tell you a cute story about a little boy about 3 years old, 4 years old, and he was bouncing around on the bed with his grandma was taking care of him, and they were bouncing around, and he said he wanted something.
Uh-huh.
And grandma said, well, how are you going to get that? And he said, I'm going to buy it. She said, where are you going to get the money to buy it? And he thought for a moment and he went, with my money? And so she said, your money? Where is your money? He thought for a while. And he went, in your purse. And so
there you are.
That's
that
where
kid was a smart kid.
Smart kid. He observed when he needed something or he wanted something.
You go to mother and mother's purse.
Mother, she reached in and paid somebody.
That's right.
She reached in and paid somebody.
Mothers don't do that, right? Don't do that, mothers.
No, but it's such,
money comes
such
contingent.
A cute story. And
it comes contingent on good behavior, on good grades, on good performance, on working, on doing your chores, being responsible, being reliable. That's how money comes. And then it comes by a job, a formal job. When we come of age, we can do that.
You know, another example, I just thought of this. When I was working for the city of Fresno, every summer we had job programs for kids.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
But they never funded it until halfway through the summers. Like Congress didn't realize summer was coming and the kids needed jobs.
Sure.
But the checks for payment of that always came, they would mail them to them.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was responsible for that, I said, I don't want them to get the checks anymore in the mail. They said, what?
Mm-hmm.
I said, I want them to go to the supervisor.
Yeah.
We'll give the check to the supervisor, and the supervisor will hand them the check.
Yeah.
So they'll realize that the person that they're responsible
to
is where the money is coming from.
Yeah.
Money doesn't just show up in your mailbox.
Yeah.
If you didn't work well,
don't we wish that it would?
Yeah, it was just lessons learned. I mean,
it's reality, isn't it?
Things, but
it's one of those realities of life you have to learn.
Yes.
You know, we have 3 children, and when they were in junior high, we started a system. And I'm coming to your point here about how you develop a savings, system. How does a kid start a savings system? So when our kids went to work, and they worked in high school, 25% came to me for gas.
Okay, good.
That paid their gas. 25% went to a savings account that we set up. 10% went to the church. Mm-hmm. They had the rest to spend. They could spend whatever they want to do until the next paycheck, which was 2 weeks. Okay. Then they repeated that, process. So we started our kids on a savings account in junior high school.
Wow.
And they've been saving ever since. And they appreciate the idea of savings. So I want to ask you about that when we come back from our break. How you kind of would teach a parent, teach a family to set up a savings system that a kid can take from childhood all the way through the rest of his life. So, Arsen, let's come on back in a few minutes and get your cup of coffee and join us in a few minutes, okay?
When I set foot on the campus to come visit it, I was struck by how open and how welcoming the students and the professors were. Coming to Gordon was like coming home.
I think intentional community is what Jesus modeled with his disciples, and Gordon has really fostered a good place for intentional community to happen.
Gordon is a place where you can meet people from all over the world and hear their stories. I meet a lot of different people who are shaping who I am today.
Gordon seeks to graduate men and women of character, of leadership, and the world is the place where Gordon students belong.
Choosing to go to Gordon was, I think, one of the best decisions I've made in my life. I expect to be changed.
Pompe disease is a progressive, multisystemic, debilitation, and often fatal muscular disease. The United Pompe Foundation was formed to assist those affected by Pompe with the medical costs and other expenses that they may not be able to fully cover through their insurance. Visit UnitedPompe.com to learn more and to make a tax-deductible contribution to the United Pompe Foundation.
Okay, welcome back to Dr. Teach Me to Parent, and we're here today talking about this issue of family finance and how you put your life in order, how you put your family life in order in the area of finances. And we, in the last little segment here, we were talking about you got to start with a job. The kids have to learn the value of work and how to get a job, how to keep a job, and then how to benefit, from that job that they have. And we were talking here. I started at age 11 with my first job. Arsen here, our guest, started at age 12. It's his first job. I've been working ever since. So use that as an example or as a model, for you in your own home. Get the work going as early as you possibly can. Now, Arsen, you also mentioned the idea of once you get a job, you get an income. But there's the importance of setting up some kind of a savings system.
Yeah.
We've done that with our kids. We've set up saving systems. How have you done it? Now, what do you recommend to a family? How do you get a kid to start saving money rather than just spending it?
You allow them to make those choices.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
that starts.
They have the job.
That's a good start.
You have a responsibility at home. You get X number of dollars for that, depending on what the family is.
Sure.
When that money's gone, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And if all of a sudden they want something later on,
yes,
there's nobody to get it.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to learn how to put things aside and save for them.
Mm-hmm.
And for something that they want. Maybe it's another Xbox. Maybe it's another
Sure.
video game.
Sure.
And some of those things are pretty expensive.
Oh, and kids want them.
And they want them. They play with them. And
So you got to have to set up some kind of a tin can system as a saving system.
Right. It's just like goal setting. We talk about different things in people say, well, I'm going to set goals.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, how do you know that you're actually going to attain that goal?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, you have to take a look at.
Periodically, you have to check and see if you're achieving your goals.
If you're
Getting
achieving
closer.
it. But before you even get started, Alan, is that what is this going to cost me in time, energy, and money?
Yeah.
So if I want this toy,
Yeah.
I want this video game, and it's going to cost $75. Am I willing to put aside $3 a month
That's right.
to get that?
To get that.
So I'm going to give up lunch. I'm going to give up a little something else.
Or I'm going to work a little bit extra.
Whatever.
I'm going to try to do something a little extra to get that.
To do that. And if you can honestly say, yes, I really want that bad,
Yes.
you'll get it. But if
Yeah.
you're honest with yourself and you say, I'd rather have the candy now than the
Well,
video game later,
You'll
you never get the video
You'll
game.
never get it.
Never get it.
Yeah.
You just
And unfortunately.
so those are the lessons that
You got to, as a parent, you have to be committed to the idea of saving. You yourself have to be a saver.
Right.
You have to have your own savings account. You have to have your own system. And then you can teach your children. When our kids were in junior high, we set up a system that they had to work, obviously, so that whatever they made every 2 weeks or once a month, 25% came to me for the gas I paid for the car for taking them places and everywhere. So 25% came back to me for gas. 10% went to the church.
Right.
15% went to a savings account. Then they could have the rest, for their free using. And they had to use it for their own purposes. They couldn't come back and ask for more.
Right.
And that was their allowance. So they earned it. And you know what? They learned to save. They learned to anticipate. They learned to give to the church. And they learned to be moderate in their spending.
I got to commend you to doing
That's
that.
how it happened.
A lot of people have learned that system or heard of that system. Very few implement.
You got to do it. You got to start in junior high.
Exactly.
I think maybe even before that, for that matter. But you have to start young, because if you don't start young, the patterns don't get established as well.
No, they don't.
And you got to be committed, to it, yourself.
Right.
Yeah. So when you talk about setting up a financial system in a family, you're really saying this gives a family stability, doesn't it?
Oh, yes.
I mean, stability in a family comes around the finances. If your finances are in order, I gather your family has a chance of being put in order too.
Yeah. If people, especially young people, getting ready to get married, just getting started in life, if you would spend half the time talking to one another about finances and how you're going to live using those finances, as you do planning the wedding,
yes,
you would be very ahead of the game. People spend hours debate. We're going to have this cake, going to have that flower. This person's coming, that person's coming. No, I don't want this one. I don't want that one. And we spend all this time to put that pageantry together, and spend a lot of money to do it, but then have no idea how we're going to live together as a couple.
Yeah.
And particularly finances.
Yeah. Whatever your financial level is going to be, how are you going to live at that level?
Because
how are you going to improve that level, in a reasonable way over a reasonable period of time? And how are you going to share in the responsibilities of income as well as income outgo? I mean, it works both ways. You balance those kind of things.
Particularly if you have one of the partners that came from a spending family.
There you are.
And you have the other that's come from a savings perspective. There is going to be conflict. Just like if you have one of the partners has been raised in the church, understands tithing, understands the power of prayer.
Yes.
And you have the other that has never been to church.
Yes.
You're setting yourself up for conflict. For that.
You can work it out, but it is a potential conflict situation. I always give the illustration of one growing up in a family of talkers and the other one growing up in a family of non-talkers, and then they marry.
Yep.
There's conflict there.
Yeah.
And that's a formula for doom. But I think you really hit the point real well. Is you got to look at your family history and say, okay, is our family history the same? Do we come from two family backgrounds that value money, that earn money and save money and spend it wisely, or are we coming from two different perspectives? I think you really hit the nail on the head on that one.
Yeah, it's important.
You got to ask that question. You got to talk about that.
You got to talk when you're dating. Spend a little bit more time in discussion instead of just the physical stuff.
Yeah.
To get to know who the people are.
That would be a big factor, wouldn't it?
Big difference. Yeah. Where you're going to go with that.
Yeah. You talk about money, and there's certain value to money. And I said something a little while ago in terms of to really appreciate what money is, and how we get it, and how important it is to us, or how precious it is to us. That's kind of the value of money, I guess. That's what we mean by value of money, is it?
Right.
Importance?
See, money isn't the most important thing in life. But in the place that money is used, there's nothing that will replace it.
Okay, good idea.
That.
Yeah.
So okay, the money. There's a great deal more to life than just money. But
where you don't need money.
You don't need it. I mean, but in the place where money is needed, nothing will take its place. So you have to understand the value of what that is and how.
Give me an example of that. Where money really is necessary. You have to earn it. You have to save it. You have to have it so that you have it to use.
Right.
So, what would be an example of that?
Of how to save that money?
How to use that money and use it in a very valuable way, so it's an important purchase or an important transaction of money.
Well, there are several ways that vehicles that people can accumulate the money. We talked about savings.
Yes.
But in this world today, investing is very, very important.
Okay.
Government has set up programs of IRAs, 401ks. Pension plans are a time of the past. They don't see it anymore because people don't stay in jobs.
That's right.
But if you're fortunate to have a pension plan, that you can do that. But there, and life insurance is really, even though I say it's the least important of all of the four issues we talked about before, in the place where life insurance is the defense. So I try to tell my clients sometimes that if you went into a football game, the plan is that we're going to have 3 touchdowns and they're only going to have 2, so we win.
That's right.
But if the defense happens to pick up a fumble and scores, you don't say, well, we weren't thinking about that. Take that off the board.
Yeah.
No, it's a bonus. It's a plus. So life insurance that builds cash and accumulates it tax-free is a bonus at the end of the investment time and the rest of it.
So what age would a person be to kind of start a life insurance plan? And there are lots of different kind of plans, but just a plan. I mean, when do you start thinking about that? When you're 20, 30, 40? When you have children? Before children?
Before children.
Before children.
I had a guy talk to me the other day, said his grandson wanted to set something up for his grandson. He's 18 years old. Say, when you're 18, you're really in a good position.
Yes.
Because your health is good.
Yes.
And you're going to get the best rating. And so if you buy it now, they can't take that rating away.
Yes.
And it's going to accumulate because you got more years to do it. You know, when you're 84 and you buy a policy, you don't have a long time to accumulate money. But when you're 18 and you got 50, 60 years to accumulate that money, you can build a pretty good retirement.
Yes, you can. Yeah, you can use it. Yeah. My father sold insurance for a while.
Okay.
And at age 10, we as 3 children got our first insurance policy.
Wow.
So he bought us an insurance policy, which then was maintained.
Right.
And then when we became of age and married, and so we maintained that insurance. So it was a very low premium because we were so young when we started, and carried that on through years into our life.
You know, and,
so you can do that.
You're right. I remember getting a $5,000 policy.
I think ours was 10. I think ours was 10,000 to start with. Yeah.
And now the minimum policies are around 25,000.
Sure.
And especially if it's going to build some cash and do things. And it's not uncommon for young married couples, when you get started in things, to buy some term insurance. And so that you can really cover that period of time of the need. And it's cheap, but you want to be able to have a plan to convert the term insurance to permanent insurance so you can have some cash at the end of that period of time.
Yeah. So you emphasize something about insurance, and that is having cash from it.
Yes.
And that's one of the purposes of insurance. We usually think of insurance as if you die, then there's money for the spouse or there's money for the children.
Right.
And money for the family, and which is also the reason to buy, life insurance, isn't it?
Yes.
But it is a form of savings. And you can build a little bit of a savings account in that.
And today, in the last few years, you can set up a plan to have tax-free income at retirement. And if you think about it, you can make more money saving taxes than you can making money.
That would be a good idea. I've never heard that one before.
So we can maybe talk a little bit about that and how do people can make more money saving taxes.
How to make more money saving taxes. Now, that would be a great idea.
Yeah.
Let's take a break and come back and talk about that, shall we?
All right.
Okay, go get your cup of coffee and come on back in about 2-3 minutes. Join us with our good friend here, Arsen, as we talk.
The Green Gables Care Home is a 24-hour assisted living facility for the elderly located in Clovis, California, offering spacious private and semi-private rooms which are wheelchair approved, catering to the special person in your life who needs attention and wants to live in a loving home environment. The Green Gables Care Home has assisted living in secured homes for elderly with Alzheimer's, memory loss, and for your loved ones needing assistance with their activities of daily living. Call 559-297-9438 and visit greengablescarehome.com.
Sometimes good intentions hurt rather than help. For just $1.76 per meal, the Fresno Rescue Mission offers more than food. We offer hope. Please donate today.
Do you need a locksmith? Layman's Lock and Safe Service and Repair is available for you. 559-228-1805.
Gained a lot, learned a lot, and got a lot of love. If it weren't for the knowledge that I had gained from the classes at PCC, I probably wouldn't be the mom I am today. See, there it goes.
I would love you to meet my son, Aaron. My situation was very difficult. I didn't know how my life was going to turn out.
We graduated in June 2010, and we got married in July. And through family, the Pregnancy Care Center changed our lives.
The Pregnancy Care Center was a huge, vital part in helping me walk through that pregnancy, in educating me and loving on me during that time.
Choosing a Medicare plan can be difficult and frustrating. Susan Hatch can guide you through the Medicare maze and help find the right plan for you. Susan helps people understand the confusing and drastic changes that occur every year in Medicare. Susan will only recommend plans that will protect your assets and allow you to continue to see your personal doctor. As a 100% independent agent, Susan is not controlled by any particular insurance company to steer a person onto any one particular plan. Susan was awarded the #1 Medicare supplement agent in California. Look for Susan's Medicare question and answers every Monday in the Fresno Bee. Call Susan at 559-307-2287 and visit MedicareToday.net.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Okay, welcome back to Dr. Teach Me to Parent, and we're looking at family life from the point of view of putting your life in order through finances, making sure you have a financial plan, making sure you have a financial goal, making sure you have a financial system in place. And our author today is Arsen Marsoobian, and he is now in the insurance industry, and he's selling insurance, and he's been in all kinds of businesses and all kinds of finance businesses. And he said here just before we took the break, a very important statement. You can make more money saving taxes than earning money itself.
Correct.
Tell us about that. What is that?
If you're in California with the 10 to 15% tax plus the federal tax, so if you're in even a 28% tax bracket and an 11, so you're going almost in a 40% tax bracket.
I was going to say 40% taxes is really what you think about.
Right.
Yep.
So if I can show you how to save those taxes, you're making 40% more on your money.
That's right.
Where can you invest money and make 40%?
You can't. You can't.
You can't.
You can't.
So that to take advantage of the different governmental programs that are available today, whether it's annuities, whether it's a life insurance contract where you're not paying any taxes on the growth, whether it's the distribution of money tax-free. And I like to say that with the new tax law that just passed the government, taxes went on sale. Most of the brackets dropped about 6 or 7%. So one of the things we talk about is if you have money in an IRA or a 401k, you want to consider paying the tax now and transferring that money to a Roth IRA where you're not going to pay for the taxes on the distribution of the money. So you take advantage of that money, pay it now. Put it in a Roth IRA, or if you need the life insurance, put it in a life insurance contract, let it grow tax-free, take the money back out tax deferred, let it grow tax deferred, and then actually get an income for the rest of your life tax-free.
So a family needs a tax advisor. A family needs a financial advisor.
Yes.
How does a family find somebody like that? I mean,
just like you.
I mean, you just go to your local insurance agent and say, okay, now that's going to be the guy, or you look up some kind of a friend that has a good record in finances and you ask him. Who do you go to when you're as a family? How do you get a person in your life as a family that can guide you in developing your financial plan?
You know, there are insurance agents. There are agents with certifications, CLU. There are certified financial planners. So there's a whole host of within the financial world.
And how do you pick one? I mean, how do you know what's one for me?
Depending on your level of income.
Okay.
Will determine where you really want to go.
Okay.
If you have some really good wealth, you need an estate planning attorney.
Okay. Estate planning attorney. Okay.
And most people will go to their certified public accountant.
Mm-hmm.
You get a good CPA, you got a business, you get a good CPA because he has contacts and connections with all of the different people.
So if you are in the wealth area, that's how you have to approach it.
Yes.
A certified CPA or a certified tax accountant attorney.
Right.
Now, if you're at the other end of the continuum, you're starting out your family, you're just making it day by day. You may have $10 to save at the end of the week, but you're growing. You're starting your growth plan of finances. Who do you go to?
The best place to go for something like that is a life insurance agent.
Life insurance agent.
And make sure that you have one because that's within 5 to 10 years of your age.
Oh,
if
okay.
you're a
So
young
if I'm
married
30,
couple and
I
stuff,
want somebody 40.
Yeah, if you're a young married couple, the family that we're talking to today, find somebody that's going to be able to grow along with you. You know, and I say this as a guy in his 80s who's still working to promote and help people with their life insurance needs. I'm not as relevant to the 30-year-olds.
Sure.
As I am to the older guys that are in the retirement stages.
Yeah.
So I would say find a good agent. You want to vet them. Find out what kind of education they have. Are they a CLU? Do they have that designation? Are they working towards that designation? How long have they been in the business? So I have a book out called Beating Taxes and Cheating Death. And in there's a whole section on how to pick. How to select an agent.
Yeah.
So that people may
I was
want
talking to
look
my
at that.
son the other day, and he had a meeting with his financial planner.
Right.
So I said, who are you using these days as your financial planner? And he gave me the name, and it was the same person that he was using 20 years earlier. So he has selected a financial planner to help him 20 years ago, and that man is still in his life, still advising him in his financial plan. And he's done quite well, actually.
And that's the best way, as I was saying, you get
It's a
somebody within
relationship.
your age group.
It's a
gonna have
relationship. Yeah.
And they'll learn as much about you and your family and your needs as you grow.
Yeah.
Now, there's another concept that we use. It's called human life value.
Human life value.
So how do you determine what a human life value is? And people say, you can't put a value on my life. But if you'll take the amount of money that you're making now as a young man, a young father in a family.
Yes.
Say you're 30 years old.
All right.
And you're making $50,000 a year income. It's got 35 years to be age 65 to the quote the retirement age.
35 years more.
If you never get a raise and you're making $50,000 a year, that 50,000 times 35 is how many millions of dollars?
It's a lot.
It's a lot. That is how much money is going to go through your hands
over that time.
To take care of your family.
And learn how to do it.
If somebody comes along and hits you with a truck, as we've seen so unfortunately so often
Yeah,
in our
yeah,
community,
yeah.
and you're 35 or 40 years old and your life is gone, where is that family going to get that money?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to take a look at that's your life.
That's
value.
where the life insurance comes in.
That's where the life insurance comes in.
Because it pays out the death of somebody, and then you have money for the spouse, the wife, whatever, to raise the children and to support herself. That's the whole main purpose of life insurance.
And today, you can structure the policy so that the money is given out incrementally.
Mm-hmm.
And so that she doesn't end up with $1.5 million
All at one lump sum.
$2 million
Yeah.
one lump sum.
Yeah.
And doesn't know how to really handle that money.
Yeah.
And so you could set it up that the money would be given at the graduation of the children, education and process. And set
Arsen,
that
you're
all
a
up.
wise man. Credit cards. Credit cards for kids. If you have a child 15 years old, credit card. You have a kid who's 18, credit card. If you have 20, credit card. Should you have credit cards when you are in the early stages of raising a family? What's the up and downsides of that?
Credit cards are a necessary evil today. There's no question about that. How young should you get a credit card? Boy, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
It's a matter of how well that individual has been taught to handle money.
That's your answer. It isn't age.
It's not.
It's the ability to be responsible with the money you have, whether you spend that through a credit card system or you just pay it out in cash.
Right. And I would put limits on a credit card.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a $300 limit or $500 limit, so that it's there for the gas, for necessities to get something to eat, or a sandwich or something like that during it. So
Can
it's
you go that
$300.
low in a credit card? Will a credit card system set up a limit that low?
Yeah. A lot of them will do that.
You know, I know a lot of people who are 50 and 60 who need a credit card limit of $200 or $300.
Yeah.
Because they go way beyond and they can't handle it. So it isn't just kids.
But it also teaches them the value that, I ran out of money.
Yes.
Now I got the whole month to go.
Yes.
I spent it all in the first week.
You learn real fast.
Taking my girlfriend out to dinner and everything else, and now it's gone. Now I got to figure out how to pay for that. So, yeah, there's a value to having it because our life runs on those things right now.
Well, let me ask you another question since you're so smart.
Well, that's
debt.
That's debatable.
Let's go to debt. A family debt. You know, when you're, let's say, below 50, below 40, have debt, no debt. You can handle debt more if you're above 40 or 50. What's the kind of the rule or the guideline there?
Don't have any.
Well, we all buy houses and cars and
cars,
boats, and
have the debt, the level where you can pay it off, where you can repay it, where you can recycle it. You can have the debt. Unfortunately, in my given an experience myself, I bought a car that was probably a little bit outside my means.
Okay.
And it didn't take long before I realized the cost to operate that car was a lot more than I was willing to spend. Because here's what happens. We get those things, whether it's a boat or car.
Yes.
So when my neighbor says, "Hey, Arsen, you got what a really great car you got, man! You're terrific. You're doing well." So yeah, that's feeling pretty good, and you're feeling pretty good. But in about 2 weeks, all your friends have seen the car,
Yeah.
and they'll all tell you what a great thing it is. Now nobody cares, but the $1,000 a month payment is still there.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so you got to be careful.
You're
with
the only
that.
one that knows that.
and so I've had to, I've experienced that in the wrong
That's
wrong
right.
way. So the listeners can maybe learn from my experiences.
When I was
You
in
don't wanna
college,
do
I had a
that.
friend who bought a car. He had to have a car. It had to have a brand new one. So he bought this brand new car, and it was a high interest rate at that particular point in time. But he bought the car, and it was a high interest rate. And we figured out that over 8 years that he had to pay that interest rate. He bought the car twice.
Twice.
He bought the car twice.
Yeah.
Once he had to pay for the interest, and once he had to buy the car. Now, why would you do that? because you're so obsessed with having a car
You
or a
need to
certain
have
car.
Right.
And you run yourself in the hole.
We've learned that whether you have a $300,000 car, a $30,000 car, they're both going to get you to the
Get
same
you where you're
place.
going. That's right.
But our egos, our things get in the way.
We're there, aren't we?
I've had several the Mercedes cars in my life and different things. I drive a little smaller car now.
Yeah, don't we all? I want to talk about retirement.
Okay.
You are retirement age. I'm retirement age. I want to talk about retirement. And that's an important question.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of families that they're not ready to retire yet, but they're thinking about it. They're starting to think about it. They're coming into that range where you got to consider now, if I retire, how would I live? Or when can I retire and live at least somewhat reasonable? Let's come back and give us your thoughts on that. Okay, Arsen?
Thank you, Alan.
Yeah, come on back in a minute.
When you need a dentist who has a passion for superior aesthetics and comfort, you need Dr. Christopher Wong with Cedar North Dental. Call 559-432-4948 or visit cedarnorthdental.com.
China's close the club.
Tanya, come here.
At Boys and Girls Clubs, it's not just about trying new things.
Kitchen in my hometown.
It's not about learning the right steps.
4,
Or making contact.
5, 6, 7, 8.
It's not about exploring the future. It's about helping them build it. It's about taking steps to greatness. About making a connection. It's about proving every kid and teen has what it takes. It's about people in our clubs who bring out the greatness in every kid who enters our doors. It's not just about being on stage. It's about walking across it. Great futures start here, and here, and here.
Sat7 is a Christian media network that uses uncensored satellite television to broadcast across the Middle East and North Africa, and is also available globally online.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Okay, welcome back. Dr. Teach Me to Parent, and our special guest today is in the area of finances, Arsen Marsoobian. And what we want to do is help you understand what it's like to look ahead a little bit. We call that retirement. You know, when you just begin to peek into the future and say, how shall I then live? Arsen, where do we start?
We start with the idea that the word retirement no longer fits our culture.
All right. All right.
It's really a transition. I mean, the definition of retirement
Yeah.
that I came up with a long time ago in the life insurance business is when you can do what you want, when you want, without the concern or the financial consequences for doing that.
Well, that sounds like pie in the sky.
And I told that to a guy one time. I was trying to sell him some insurance. You know what he said? I don't need a retirement plan. He said, I'm already retired. I said, what? He goes, I have a great business. I work when I want to work. I don't work when I don't want to work, and have all the financial money that I need to go do what I want to do. He was 30-some years old. He said, I'm retired.
Yeah.
And he was right.
Yeah.
I lost the sale, but he was
all right. That's a sale you should have lost, by the way.
That's right.
Yes.
But the whole thing is that today we're living longer.
Yes.
See, the retirement system was set up in the 30s. Life expectancy was 64. So the great leaders in Congress said retirement at age 65. Figured most people would die before they even got to retirement or get into the Social Security money. And if they did,
Sure.
it was only with 6 months. And I can remember all the time that when we were kids, my parents' friends would retire, in 6 months they were gone. Now, if you retire and do nothing, the insurance companies say the life expectancy is 5 years and 7 months. I mean,
when you make that decision to do nothing.
Do nothing. So in my book called Don't Die, the transition is to find a passion and purpose for your life, and that's what you do.
But
so
I think
what
that's
would you
progressive.
want to do?
I think that's progressive.
Yeah.
It's a passion and purpose of your life when you're younger. That may be different than the passion and purpose in your life when you're 70 or 60 or 50 or 80 or whatever.
Well,
just as important.
When we're starting out, you do what you have to do to make the money.
Sure.
So maybe it becomes a career. You get in a life insurance business. You become a salesman. You get a little bit of business. But that's not really where your heart is. Your heart is maybe wanting to coach kids.
Yes.
But I had to make a living for my family. So you do that. But now you get to a point where you made money. Your family's grown. They're gone. They're married. They got their lives. And it's just, now I can do what I wanted to do with my life. So what is the gift that God has given me? What is the passion? What is the purpose? Maybe it's volunteering. Maybe it's spending some of the time. But you have to keep active. Keep your mind active. Keep reading. Keep studying.
I've heard that
keep
insurance
learning.
companies have a chart. You may know this. They have a chart. And again, you'll be productive. Not necessarily making money, but be productive until you're 85 or more. Or more. And that's how you have to think.
Yes.
That I'm not 85, but I can be productive. I can make money. I can work. Or I can volunteer my time or give it away.
Yes.
Or write books.
Write books. I didn't write my first book till I was 78. I wanted to make sure all the English teachers were already gone before I started writing.
That's right.
But we had, but that's really true. It's that, and you have to keep your body active. A lot of you can't just be sedentary. You got to keep active. You got to do something, whether it's walking, fishing, swimming, bowling, golf. Do something that's going to keep your body moving. And the third thing is you have to keep giving. Give your time or your talents, your gifts.
Charity should benefit.
Yes.
Some form, either from your personal efforts of your hand or the money that you donate.
That's correct.
Yes.
That's the secret.
So a
It's
person
long
can
life.
retire with a comfortable living.
Yes.
If they plan as of when. How long do you have to plan? You know, to kind of be assured that you're going to have a reasonable retirement. May not be the best.
20 years.
Is that right?
20 years. Life cycle, it really comes in 20-year cycles, if you think about it, right? We're born, the first 20 years of learning.
Yeah, that's right.
You're learning about
the
the environment.
Your brain develops until you're age 20, by the way. So that's your first 20.
20. 20, you get your education, you get a program. 20 to 40, you find a mate, you find a program, you find some kind of work and things that you're doing. 40 to 60, you really should be at the peak of your performance and of success and direction. And then 60 to 80, what do? There's no planning for that. We don't think about that.
No, we don't. No,
so
we don't.
you're either, and I experienced this. That was a period of time after my heart surgeries, and I started playing golf, and I thought I was retired. I was playing golf every day. I played 170 rounds of golf in 1 year. Mm-hmm. It's a lifetime of golf in 1 year period of time. But I wasn't doing anything with my life.
No.
And so that 10-year period of time before I started writing the books, starting to go to the seminars, started to go to how to learn how to do different things again, it changed my career.
Yes.
Boy, I woke up again. I was starting to live again.
Yeah.
I started to feel good about things again.
I just think of all that golf, all that wasted time.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I think about that.
But now at 84, I do more and more active, feel better after 3 open heart surgeries, 6
So
stents.
you really don't think in terms of being retired, or you don't even think about a retirement, do you? You just think about living your life.
Yes.
You just adjust your life. You change it a little bit. I mean, retirement is not, I think that's a misnomer. I think that's a bad word.
Yes.
I don't think we should work for retirement. I think we work for doing good. I think we work for contributing. We work for participating. We work for connecting with new people, with new opportunities. Retirement is not a word that I think is desirable or should be in our vocabulary.
The word retirement used to be synonymous with travel.
Well, that's probably true.
I'm going to retire and travel.
And travel.
Travel agency did a great job with propaganda, that whole industry.
They sold that message, didn't they?
They sure did.
It's nonsense.
They sold the whole thing.
It's nonsense.
But people are in 2 categories, even at our age, maybe even younger. You're either preparing to live or you're waiting to die.
Well, that's the choice.
That's the choice.
That's the choice.
You're preparing to live your life.
And you live it differently, maybe every year. You talk about every 20 years. But even within a 20-year frame, you can adjust your lifestyle so that you have quality of life every 5 years, every 3 years. Right. But you make that decision.
Right.
You let your interests lead you. You let your opportunities come into your life, and you seize those opportunities.
And I think that for our show and the audience, it's never too late. If you're there and you're a mom or dad and you're listening and you're in your 30s or so, and you say, oh, I didn't do that when I was a kid, I didn't do this.
Yes.
It's never too late.
Yes.
You get started. Whatever it is you learn in life, you can start to apply it today, whenever.
Absolutely. I have a quote to end our program today, and I want you to comment on this quote,
Okay.
Arsen. And just give me your thoughts. It comes from my father. Okay? That's where this quote comes from. Poor people have money. Rich people have money and problems. What do you say to that?
Poor people have money.
But rich people have money and problems.
It's very true.
Very true.
Very true, because if you have, the more money you have $100 million, you're going to worry about, is the money invested in the right place? Is somebody going to take it from me? Am I doing the right thing? What's going to happen if I lose it?
So you have the problem of worry. You have the problem of worry.
If you are poor, you got to really know what the definition of poor is, and have money. Then you're just worried about, how am I going to live? What am I going to do?
But you're going to use that money very, very carefully.
You use it carefully.
You're going to be very thoughtful in how you live your life.
Right.
Well, thanks for joining us today, Arsen. You did a great job of educating us in this area of financing, and this is a very important life for a young family to kind of get their life in order around this issue of finances. We can never learn enough. You've added a lot of information. Read books, read articles, add to this. But get your life in order and making sure that your kids are well protected for their future and well provided for today. Okay? See you next week. Bye for now.